You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN E-Mini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things E-Mini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Monday, 6th day of April 2026. Happy post-Easter Monday. So I wonder what all those no kings people were thinking yesterday. Because half the world, 2.4 billion Christians worldwide, were celebrating the risen king. And they're out there with their little signs made in China, mass-produced, by the way, saying, "Go Kings." Well, I got a king, and I'm sticking with him. Anyway, I hope you had a great holiday weekend, had a little extra day off. You should feel well rested, ready to go. Got lots to cover, lots to talk about today, so I guess let's just get cooking. We do two live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast is our live training room. So to get in there, you got to be a member or taking your 1-week free trial. This broadcast, the noon broadcast, is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet-connected device. There's 2 different ways to join this afternoon broadcast live. The best way, you only got to do it once. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down the page to where it says Noon Broadcast. Click the link, fill out the 30-second registration form, and you're done. What will happen going forward is every trading day you'll get an email about an hour before this broadcast starts. In the email, there will be a link. So at 12 noon Eastern, all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it automatically logs you into our platform. The benefit of doing it that way is you immediately have access to the question box, so you can ask questions and participate in the discussion. Now, there will be days you're out of your office, away from your desktop, but you still want to join live. And some days you'll be busy, so you can't join live, but you want to get caught up later. You can do both of those via our YouTube channel, which is easy to remember. youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. Not only do we broadcast live every trading day on our YouTube channel, but we also archive each and every daily broadcast. Currently, there's over 3,000 daily episodes archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And if you're new to our neck of the woods, it is a great way to get to know who we really are. Thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, even more, a lot more. Obviously, you're not going to watch them all, nor do you need to. But it's a great resource to have at your fingertips because it allows you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. On the left side of the screen is our schedule for each afternoon broadcast. At the top of the hour, 1 p.m. Eastern, two things are going to happen today. Michael will join us as he always does, and Trump is supposed to hold a press conference. In fact, the press conference is so big, they had to move it from the press conference room to the ballroom so that there would be enough room for all the journalists that want to pepper him with questions about what the heck happened over the weekend. Yay, go America. And what he's planning to do tomorrow. I'll share the article with you here in a few minutes. He put a post on Truth Social this weekend. He actually dropped the F-bomb. He really did. You've probably seen it by now, but I'm going to share it with you here in a little bit. So anyway, Michael will join us at 1. If Trump takes to the mic at 1, markets are going to get pretty volatile, I'm going to suggest. And Michael will give us a recap of what happened this morning in the live training room and do about 15 minutes of live trading as time in the markets permit. But right now we'll go to our daily devotional. That's where we start each and every noon broadcast. The topic that we're on, and we're getting pretty close to the end of it. It's been about a month. Where are you, God? Our scripture today is Isaiah 52, verses 6 through 7 from the NIV translation. Therefore, my people will know my name. Therefore, in that day they will know that it is I who foretold it. Yes, it is I. How beautiful on the mountains are the feet of those who bring good news, who proclaim peace, who bring good tidings, who proclaim salvation, who say to Zion, your God reigns. Again, that was Isaiah 52, verses 6 through 7. Sometimes God's most miraculous provisions happen in the most unlikely ways. In Lesotho, South Africa, known as the Mountain Kingdom, the Basotho people are proud of their ability to thrive in the extreme conditions of the high-altitude Malati Mountains. Recently, their faith would be tested and their prayers answered in ways they never expected. A Bible delivery team was eager to reach believers in newly planted churches nestled deep within these treacherous mountains. 800 Bibles in the Sesotho language were waiting to be distributed to congregations who had been longing to read God's Word in their own tongue for the first time. As the team ascended one of Lesotho's highest mountains, their excitement turned to concern. Their vehicle's gearbox failed. Smoke billowed from the engine. Stranded with no way forward, the team feared the believers at the mountaintop would be left empty-handed. But when serving an almighty God, trials often become testimonies of his faithfulness. You see, you can't have a testimony until you have a test. Okay, student pastor of the mountain church heard the news, jumped on his horse, and grabbed a maize bag. Downhill, the team members were ready to turn back when they spotted an unexpected sight. Their friend coming down the mountain road on horseback, an answer to their prayers. Soon, disciples at the mountain's peak were holding their own copies of God's Word, Bibles delivered not by human logistics, but by divine provision. The very next day, another team found themselves in a strikingly similar situation. Their truck couldn't navigate the steep, rocky road in Moloking. As they approached expectant believers waiting for their Sesotho Bibles, the unmistakable sound of screeching brakes filled the air. Another vehicle breakdown. In what can only be called providence, a stranger on horseback approached. Without much convincing, this good Samaritan loaded the precious cargo onto his horse and transported it up the hill to the waiting church members. The delivery was confirmed by phone call. God's supernatural provision had succeeded again. These miraculous deliveries demonstrate God's faithfulness to his people. Julia, 83 years old, received a Bible in her own language and declared, "I'm going to teach other people, my neighbors, my children, everybody in my community." Pastor Mosenye, who recently planted a church, echoed her fervor. We don't just get saved to be a congregation, but we go and make disciples. We go and plant churches. And in case you didn't know, I think I mentioned this last week, the most persecuted Christians in the world are in the country of Africa. And our orphanage, which is in Kampala, Uganda, East Africa, well, that's still Africa. So, what's my point? What mountains seem impossible for God's word to reach in your life? The same God who sent horses to carry Bibles up Lesotho's peaks still provides unexpected ways for his word to reach every waiting heart. And by the way, that's a true story shared with us by Harvesters Ministries. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, help us to know your name and trust in your promises. Make us messengers of your good news, bringing peace, hope, and salvation wherever we go. Let our lives reflect the beauty of those who carry your truth, and may others see your goodness through us. It's in Jesus' name we believe and pray. And everybody said, amen. Amen and happy Monday. All right, let me give you the numbers from around the world. Then we'll go to the news. Then we'll go to the alerts and the charts. And then it'll be time for Michael to join us and for the president to speak at the top of the hour. Now, the chances of the president starting at exactly 1 p.m. Eastern as planned, well, you know how those things go. Sometimes they don't. But anyway. Now remember, these are the cash markets. These aren't futures prices. There's a difference. If you don't understand it, ask. I'll explain it to you at some point. Currently, the Dow is up 92 points. NASDAQ's up 73. S&P 500 is up 16. And the Russell 2000 is up 9. No movers or shakers, but all things considered, it's pretty good. In the commodity basket, crude oil up a nickel, only a nickel, trading 111.63 last. Gold up $14.50, trading 46.92.90 last. Silver down 23 cents, trading 72.69 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei posted a gain of 290 points. Shanghai dropped 39. The Hang Seng fell 130 77. And in the European markets, at the close, FTSE up 71, the DAX up 130, the CAC up 18. So we had a mixed day in Asia. It was a mixed day for the UK. And at the moment, it is a green Radio Monday here in the US of A. Now, markets traditionally, historically rally into a US holiday weekend. But some of you may remember back at the beginning of the Iraq War, I think it was, when they rescued Jessica Lynch. And that was the big story on all the networks. That's when the legacy media wasn't quite as twisted. Sometimes they actually supported America in a patriotic way, but that's a time far, far away now. But anyhow, when Jessica Lynch was found, boy, did the markets rally for days. So last night at the open, I knew I was looking at a mixed bag. Either the markets are going to gap and run higher based on all the things I just said, or bottom's going to fall out. And the surprise was to the upside. So that's awesome. Now, again, it's a green day in the USA right now. But once Trump starts talking, I would put the mouse away because there may be some incredible volatility based, number one, on what he says, and based, number two, on how the legacy media chooses to spin it. So strap in. Could be a wild afternoon. Turning to the news. The U.S. rescued the second of two crew members from a downed F-15E aircraft in Iran, officials revealed yesterday. Both were evacuated with non-life-threatening injuries. The mission to rescue the second airman involved subterfuge. The crewman was in Iran for an estimated 36 hours before he was rescued, with the CIA launching a deception campaign to distract Iranian forces. The U.S. reportedly misled Iranians by suggesting the crew members were found and were being evacuated by ground. Meanwhile, U.S. forces searched for and extracted the airman from a mountain crevice. The campaign evaded what could have been a hostage situation. Tehran had reportedly offered the equivalent of $60,000 for the aviator's capture. And of course, again, the mission comes ahead of today's deadline set by President Donald Trump for Iran to make a deal, or the U.S. would begin to target civilian infrastructure. And Trump will be holding a news conference today at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm really surprised he's not waiting for the markets to close at 4 p.m. Eastern, the stock market. But he's not. So what does that tell us? I don't know. Just thought I'd ask. And Cambodia unveiled the world's first statue honoring a landmine detecting rat. Magawa, the rat, lived to be 8 years old and identified more than 100 landmines and other explosives from 2016 to 2021. There are more than 100 African pouched rats deployed in landmine detection operations across the world. To identify mines, the rats are trained to sniff out explosive compounds like How about TNT? There we go. The rats are not heavy enough to trigger detonation. In Cambodia, up to 6 million landmines remain undiscovered, most planted during 3 decades of conflict, from the Vietnam War era through Cambodia's Civil War. Since 1979, roughly 20,000 people have been killed in Cambodia and roughly 40,000 wounded as a result of the mines. Magawa cleared more than 1.5 million square feet of land and was capable of searching a tennis court-sized area within 20 minutes, compared to what would take a human 4 days. Absolutely amazing. A landmine detecting rat. Wow. I had no idea. Okay, turning to Wall Street. U.S. stocks rose today as oil prices dropped amid cautious hopes for a de-escalation in Middle East hostilities. Stocks recouped the overnight losses that followed renewed threats from Trump on Iran as he extended the deadline for attacks to Tuesday. Destruction in the Gulf region over the weekend also raised geopolitical tensions. However, reports of diplomatic moves revived optimism for a ceasefire and an end to the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, which risks stoking inflation. Iran and the U.S. have received a plan for an end to attacks from Pakistan. The two sides and international mediators are making a last-ditch push for a 45-day halt, per Axios. Please, Mr. Trump, don't fall for that. They've been lying for 47 years. After the Good Friday stock market holiday, investors got their first real chance to weigh in on the March jobs report today. The reading surprised on Friday as the U.S. economy created 178,000 jobs and the unemployment rate fell to 4.3%. In the week ahead, investors will also watch for key U.S. inflation data due out Friday and earnings results from Delta expected on Wednesday. We also get the minutes of the last Fed meeting on Wednesday. Markets in many countries worldwide, including the UK, Germany, France, and Australia, and a lot more, are closed for Easter Monday. We do Good Friday, they do Easter Monday. Goldman Sachs is out with a blunt take for tech workers being displaced by AI. Expect a lengthy search to secure a job that will probably pay less than your previous gig. Workers displaced from technology-disrupted occupations face more difficult short-run transitions back into employment, according to Goldman Sachs. They take approximately 1 month longer to find a new job and suffer real earnings losses of more than 3% upon reemployment, compared with negligible losses for workers displaced from more stable occupations. JP Morgan is looking for Tesla stock to crash 60%. With expectations for Tesla performance having collapsed for all financial and performance metrics across all time periods through the end of the decade. The 50% rise in Tesla shares and 32% increase in analyst price targets as this collapse has taken place implies an expectation for a sharp pivot to materially better than earlier expected performance in the time beyond this decade. That's from JP Morgan analyst Ryan Brinkman. Thanks, Ryan. President Trump amplified the tone and volume of his threats around the Strait of Hormuz this past weekend, even as indications from the region show more ships are passing through the crucial waterway at the behest of Iran's regime. Even after weeks of ultimatums, the bellicose rhetoric from the White House reached a new level on Sunday. One Truth Social post from the president used an expletive, appeared to mock Islam, and called the Iranian regime's leaders crazy bastards, while promising anew to bomb bridges and power plants. Yep, he dropped the F-bomb. Meanwhile, developments on the ground gave observers and markets hope on Monday that some economic pressure could be easing. Iran announced that Iraq has a special exemption to ship through the strait, and more oil appeared set to flow to Asia. SpaceX's IPO filing last week set the stage for what could be the largest IPO in history. It now has a target valuation north of $2 trillion. Now, I've given you guys those symbols day after day after day. This is how you get exposure to SpaceX, which owns Starlink and XAI, before the IPO. Kathy Woods has a fund, ARKVX. There's another fund, XOVR. Also AGIX. And they say one of the best ways is to just buy shares of EchoStar, which owns a ton of SpaceX pre-IPO. But you pay a bit of a premium for that. Last time I looked, it was $112 a share. And then there's the secondary markets, where SpaceX employees who have been given pre-IPO shares as part of their pay package or bonuses, there are platforms where they can actually, because some of them need money now, they can't wait. I'd hate to be this close and not, anyway, Google it, you'll find it, ask ChatGPT. And the largest IPO in history, north of $2 trillion. It could also provide a big boost beyond Elon Musk's own rocket company. Shares of Rocket Lab surged roughly 10%, Planet Labs jumped more than 10%, and AST Space Mobile climbed even more on the news. The market's reaction provided something of a confirmation that a SpaceX public listing won't just benefit SpaceX shareholders. It could change how the investment world views and now re-rates the entire space sector. Now, I don't know how many of you know the story of Netscape. It was really kind of the first functional web browser. You really should, there's a movie, I forget what it's called, it's on Netflix, or it used to be. It's the whole story of Netflix and all that they went through and the mistakes they made. Today when you say browser, you immediately think Chrome or Brave or, even that Microsoft thing, which I never use. But the question that's being asked, is this a Netscape moment for space? We think this is a Netscape moment for the space economy, in the same way that Netscape was prior to going public in 1995. The internet was this thing that academics and government employees used. It later became an institutional grade asset class after that. You really should watch. It's not a documentary. They made it more just like a movie. And the day Netscape went public, I think it doubled or tripled in value. It was wild. I'll try to remember the name, or somebody can Google it up for me. All right. The Bank of New York Mellon has been chosen as a financial agent of the U.S. government to support implementation of the new Trump accounts program, according to the U.S. Treasury Department. There was another company I mentioned this morning in the live training room that also is going to help manage those accounts. Trump accounts are the government-supported investment accounts for newborns in the United States, introduced by President Trump in January. The Treasury has said it will deposit $1,000 into investment accounts for all children born between 2025 and 2028, with some 25 million families estimated to be eligible. And Michael Dell's doing his own thing for kids that are already like 8, 9 years old, and live in certain zip codes at the east. But that's not true. Residents continue to leave Pennsylvania for greener pastures. New data from the Internal Revenue Service shows that Pennsylvania lost 15,000 residents on net to other states in 2023. Those residents took with them $2.3 billion in annual income. This out-migration spans all age groups, but it is especially pronounced among working-age professionals and higher-income earners. These are the very people who drive economic growth, and they're leaving for more competitive states such as Florida, Texas, and the Carolinas. Well, Josh, I guess you and Mom Donnie are learning a tough lesson. And Gavin. On September 3rd, 2011, in the parking lot of the Delaware Park racetrack, a woman named Bridget Wesmer handed her newborn son to a man named John Gavigan in exchange for $15,000 in cash and a money order. Gavigan had never met Wismer before the pregnancy and had no genetic connection to the child, but he listed himself as the biological father on the birth certificate anyway. Wismer's grandmother tipped off police. Both were arrested and indicted by a grand jury on charges of dealing in children. Wismer eventually pleaded to a lesser charge and was sentenced to 5 years in prison. What Wismer did in that parking lot is now being legalized across the country, and Delaware is one of the states leading the charge. Delaware's Senate Bill 250, introduced on March 5th, is the latest in a growing wave of state legislation built on the 2017 Uniform Parentage Act, which expands surrogacy frameworks to include paid genetic surrogacy. This is how it works. A woman agrees to conceive a child using her own egg, carry the pregnancy to term, and then relinquish her biological child to the intended parents in exchange for payment. She is the baby's mother in every genetic and gestational sense of the word. Now, this is different from gestational surrogacy, in which a woman carries a child created with someone else's egg and has no genetic connection to the baby. Most Americans, if they've heard of surrogacy at all, are thinking of the gestational kind. Genetic surrogacy is a biological mother being paid to hand over her own baby. Gestational surrogacy, carrying a genetically unrelated child, is already legal in most U.S. jurisdictions, and not a single state maintains a criminal ban after Michigan repealed the last one in 2024. Well, there you have it. That's the news. I got more stuff, but we must move on. Logic 247. It's our 24/7 around-the-clock E-mini alert service. It's not just E-minis, it's also crude, gold, and silver. Over the last 401 weeks, we've issued over 21,900 individual handcrafted alerts. And what we've averaged on a weekly basis is 20% or less of the alerts being stopped out based simply on market structure, a simple process we teach all of our passport holders. Since the markets opened, I think we ended last week with 10% stopped out. It's posted in the discussion group. Since the markets opened last night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we issued a total of 16 alerts. Valerie did the recap this morning at 8 a.m. Eastern. So at the time she did the recap, we were still waiting on the outcome of 6. So she'll update the recap this afternoon, as she does each day. That gave us 10 actionable alerts, of which 1 or 10% would have been stopped out. Again, based simply on market structure and the simple process we teach all of our passport holders. The purpose of the logic alerts is to help you learn how to read a chart. Sure, you can trade them. They are issued hours in most cases before they actually trigger. But the real purpose is to help you learn to read the chart. Every alert has an entry price, long or short, then an initial target, and then additional targets, and then a final trade to target. Logic alerts can come out anytime around the clock, 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. Futures trade around the clock. We have traders around the globe. Our day session is their night session, and vice versa. Now, 401 weeks is a very long time, 7.7 years. But many years before we introduced Logic 247, we had our original alert service, the concierge trade alerts. Now they're different in a lot of different ways. But for the purpose of this discussion, I'll just say this: they don't come out around the clock. They're typically posted 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open. So this Monday session we're in today started last night at 6 p.m. Eastern. But all of our traders had all of these targets 5 minutes before the market opened. S&P 500, the Dow, the Russell, crude oil, NQ, gold, and silver. So let's go look at the charts. Now, those concierge trade alerts that I just showed you, you're going to see them drawn out on the individual charts as we go through them. Just keep in mind that our traders had those targets 5 minutes before the market actually opened. And we know that price always reverts to the mean. In our case, the mean is green. We call it the BBC. Stands for bull bear cross. When price crosses above the green line, we're bullish and expect higher prices. When we cross below the green line, we're bearish and expect lower prices. Higher prices, lower prices, higher prices, lower. Now, here's the thing you want to make note of. And I don't care what you trade and how you trade it, price still reverts to the mean. It's kind of like gravity. It just is. Okay. See how price pulled back to that green line? The pullback held. And this 3-day pullback held. Every candle is physically touching the green line. So you got a leg and a retracement. That's how price moves, in legs. Leg retracement, leg retracement, leg retracement. Now, we'd been in a bull market for a long time, but we suddenly found ourselves in a downtrend. Now, it hasn't really become a bear market yet, but these are reverse fibs. Normally, you draw your fibs from the low to the high. But when you're in a downtrend, you draw your fibs from the high to the low. That right there is the all-time historic high up at the top. And this is the first time we've physically touched the BBC on the daily chart since March 5th. And here it is, April 6th. Now, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't, but eventually it will trade through. This much we know. So how we close today, how the world and the markets handle what Trump has to say at 1 p.m. Eastern, I think he believes it's going to rally the markets. Otherwise, he would wait until 4 p.m. Eastern or even later, because futures continue trading to 5 p.m. Eastern. Now we got blue and climbing below. So maybe we spike all the way up to the 50 and then come back, because we got a big leg. That would be a 50% retracement right there. and then we would expect another leg to the downside. Now that could happen without this candle losing physical contact with the BBC. We'll see how it plays out over the next few days. Okay, all alerts are created on the 30-minute chart. Nothing magic about 30 minutes. It's just the time frame I've used for many years. If it's not broke, leave it alone. So the vertical lines that you see, that separates today Monday, back over here is Friday and Thursday, and back here is Wednesday. I didn't put the line in for when the market's closed on Thursday. Yeah, it would be right there. Yeah. So this was the Good Friday trade. So look at that gap lower open last night. Now, the CTA targets, I talked about this in the Telegram discussion group, that I was going to be kind of aggressive with the CTAs. In other words, I was expecting volatility. I was expecting gaps. It gapped less than I thought it would, honestly. Now look at the low here of the opening candle from 6 to 6:30. You see this low right here? Now follow the red crosshair. You see right here where you got this wick sticking up and the next candle has a wick sticking down? That little crevice right between the two, that creates an important price, important area. And that was the low last night of the gap lower open. And as you can see, we recovered pretty nicely during the first 30 minutes. Then we got above the BBC. Then we ran into a weekly trading zone. Now the horizontal lines, those are the weekly trading zones. We've published them for our members every Monday for over 16 years. When price rallies up to a weekly zone, we expect resistance. When price drops to a weekly zone, we expect support until proven otherwise. Resistance, resistance, resistance. And then we finally broke through and hit the long target. And then on the pullback, this zone that has been resistance for days suddenly became support. And you'll notice that the pullback to the BBC held, 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 held. Like I said, the pullback holds more often than it doesn't. Okay. Now, we got a high on this session, a lower high, and a lower high. That's bearish. But we're above the green line, the BBC, so that's bullish. And as we get closer and closer, we're like 17 minutes away from when Trump is supposed to start his speech. I'm sure he'll be a few minutes late. That's how it is with important people. And my wife. So we'll see what happens. Now right here, this was just a beautiful opportunity because you had everything in place. You're above the BBC, you got a lot of blue and climbing, you've already overcome, and the pullback already held. So entering on the open of this candle, 66.10, 18 points up to the zone. It went a little further. You only need 2 points to get your goal for the day. Here's the Dow. There's the gap lower open. There's the gap fill. And then this high right here, that's not really a spot I would have called for resistance, but you got to trade what's in front of you. Remember, the logic alerts, 7.7 years, 21,000 over 21,900 individual alerts. But we don't have a perfect score. As I said earlier, on any given week, 20% or less of the alerts get stopped out because the market did something other than what I thought it was going to do. So you learn to read the charts, you know what to anticipate, and then sometimes the market just has a mind of its own. And that's evidenced right here. But the pullback held, leg retracement, pullback held, leg retracement, pullback held, leg retracement, pullback held, and then we hit the long target, and then we ran into the zone from last week. Now these are last week's zones. Let me explain that. The weekly trading zones are published Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. That means all the alerts I send out on Sunday night are based on last week's zones. But now that the new zones have been published, every alert I put out for the remainder of the week will be based on the new zones. And we got pretty close to the highest weekly zone this morning. So I may have underestimated how the markets were going to react to this military victory. But it's not over yet, so we'll see. Okay. So we hit resistance. When you find resistance, the market's always going to go look for support. Pullback holds more often than not. And where do we find resistance? At the CTA long target. Okay. Russell. Here's the gap lower open on the Russell. We got above the BBC. Leg retracement. Leg retracement. Pullback held, pullback held, and it held, and it held, and it held, and it held, and then we hit the long target right there off the 9:30 Wall Street open, and then we hit the zone in the next 30-minute candle. Resistance sent us back to support at the BBC. Support at the BBC sent us back to resistance at the target and at the weekly trading zone. And again, these are the zones that were published last Monday at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. On tomorrow's broadcast, you'll see this week's zones on my chart. NQ. Gap lower open last night. Look how beautifully the zones performed last week. Resistance at the zone, support at the zone, resistance at the zone. And it's always until proven otherwise. When price encounters a weekly trading zone, one of three things happens. 70% of the time it's consolidation, like that, like that, like that. 20% of the time rejection, like that. 10% of the time the slice. See, there's more rejection right there. So anyway, we got lower on the open last night. Ran down a little piece. We did not get down to an area where I would have expected support to come in, but it did. And up we go. We hit the zone. We get above it. We pull back. And then boom. We hit the long target during the 2200 hour 30-minute candle. Resistance sends us back to support. It sends us back to resistance, back to support, and then resistance, and then resistance. Now, you see this high right here? Better yet, you see this high right here. You see how we took out that high right there by just a little bit? No, don't do that. Let me see if I can scrunch it up a little more. I guess I can't. All right. See all this resistance up here at we'll call it 24,500. Today's high was 24,452. Okay. People always ask me, well, how far left do I have to look, Dwayne? As far as you need to. And in that case, we had to look way back to figure out why that was a good area for the market to find resistance. Which sent us back to support, and now we're trying to climb again. We're 10 minutes away from Michael and the president's speech. Crude oil gapped higher on the open last night, pulled back to the BBC, consolidated for hours, and then we dropped, but we didn't drop all the way to the short target. We got right to the bottom of these two bodies. No, we didn't quite make it there. Didn't quite get to the bottom of the bodies. As you can see, the short target was based off this low right here. We didn't make it to the long target either, which is kind of good news for crude considering it's trading at $111 a barrel. Gold gap lower open last night. We found support right there. Do I see anything here that would trigger me calling for support? Nope. But that's where buyers came in. They drove it up to the zone that was published last Monday at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. Resistance sends us to support at the BBC and blue and climbing. See, these candles are physically touching the BBC, plus blue and climbing is bullish, so that's good support. Red and falling, on the other hand, is bearish. When it switches to blue and climbing, you start looking for higher prices. When it switches to red and falling, start looking for lower prices. So leg retracement, consolidation. And then this high here, we took out this high right here by just a little bit, maybe a point. That sent us back to the BBC. We overcame red and falling. Now I want you to look at the high of this candle right there. You see right there where blue turned to red? It creates an important price, important area. And that sent us back to the zone where so far we found support. Last but not least, silver. Gap lower open. Zone served as good support. So we get a leg, retracement, a leg, a retracement, and a leg that takes us up to the zone from last week. And then we get a retracement that puts us on the underside of the BBC. And we got red and falling overhead, but the market's trying to print a green candle. So not a lot of volatility in silver overnight. And that brings us all the way around back to the daily chart, where we've touched the BBC, spiked it just a tiny bit, and we're sitting quietly right below it. And we got 7 minutes. So let me do this. To become a member, email Valerie, support@cfrn.net, or call her at 949-42-EMINI. Let her know you want to become a member. She will email you all the information you need, explains everything, and she'll provide you with a link to get signed up. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have anyone to teach them how to trade. We don't just sell you some indicators and a set of instructions and wish you the best. We provide 2 hours of live training every trading day. 9 out of 10 new traders fail because they don't have a teacher. With us, you get one. Real trades in real time, 2 hours every trading day. And we're getting ready to do another 15 minutes of live trading here once Michael joins us and after he finishes the recap of what happened in the live training room this morning. On top of the group training, 2 hours every day, you get private one-on-one mentoring. No extra charge, just got to book an appointment. The strategy you learn, the indicators you use as a passport holder are fluid across all markets and all time frames. Stocks, futures, crypto, Forex, ETF, it doesn't matter because price flows the same across all markets and all time frames. Just as I've shown you today and show you every day, from support to resistance, back to support, back to resistance, over and over again and again. It's a never-ending cycle. As a passport holder, you'll also get the Logic 247 alerts around the clock. You get the concierge trade alerts each evening, typically 5 minutes ahead of the Globex open. Every Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern, you get the weekly trading zones. And every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, you get to join us for the members-only workshop. And you get the golden keys that open up all the private channels for you in Telegram. There's quite a few. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof. One low price. All right, Michael's still got 4 minutes, so let's do this. We usually wrap up with a good word for the day. We're just going to do it now. Humble yourself and try to make it right. Proverbs 6:2. If you have been snared with the words of your mouth, go humble yourself. In 1755, a 23-year-old Army colonel was running for a seat in the Virginia Assembly when he made an insulting remark as part of a campaign speech. It was addressed to a hot-tempered man named Payne, who responded by knocking the colonel down with a hickory stick. Soldiers rushed to the colonel's assistance, and it appeared a full-blown fight would ensue. But the would-be politician got up, dusted himself off, called off the soldiers, and quietly left the scene. The next morning, the colonel wrote to Payne, requesting his presence at a local tavern. Payne obliged, but he wondered what motives and demands the colonel might make. Perhaps an apology or even a duel. To Payne's surprise, the colonel met him with an apology, asking forgiveness for his derogatory remarks and offering a handshake. Others may have viewed the move as politically expedient, but Colonel George Washington, that George Washington, considered it personally imperative if he was to enjoy internal peace as he continued with his political campaign on the way to becoming America's first president. Jesus said, "Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar, and there remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled to your brother, and then come and offer your gift. Agree with your adversary quickly." Matthew 5:23. Solomon said in Proverbs 6:2, "If you've been snared with the words of your mouth, go humble yourself and importune your neighbor." The word for you today is humble yourself and try to make it right. And 1 minute and counting. Michael, if you're there, we are ready. Yes, we are. So stand by, guys. He'll be here in just a second. He may be having trouble logging in. Now, again, President Trump. Let me go over here and see if I can get a live feed on my other computer. Let's see. See if the speed. Oh, that's not what I want. Live.
Here I am.
Here he is. Okay.
Here I am.
We've been waiting
Here
on
I
you.
am.
We're waiting on
Okay.
you and the president.
And the president. All right. Well, I'm here first.
I don't think he started speaking just yet, but
All right.
I'll monitor the situation and update you accordingly.
Should I just trade for 15 minutes first and then do everything else after?
You know, if you want, you could do that.
Because I have a feeling things are going to get crazy.
Yeah, that works for me.
Well, let me just run through everything really quick. I won't go through the trade zone step by step. I'll just go through everything the way it turned out.
All right.
We had a great morning.
Oh, we need to take the screen.
Oops. Yeah, I guess I got to do that, don't I? Hang on. Bring it back over here. Do it really fast. Do this part really fast.
All right.
See?
Yep, looks good.
Okay. So here we go. If you haven't taken a free trial with us, go here to mytradingIQ.com, click on the purple button, no credit card required. That will bring you to this registration page. Just fill it out. Once you fill it out, give us a TradingView login ID at the bottom and we'll hook you up. All right. The results, we had a good morning this morning, better than the last 2 days combined. Up 1852.5 per contract, 166 on the NQ. That was the high of the day, 55 on the Russell. That was not the high of the day, I don't think. It was not the high of the day. 57 on the YM, that was the high of the day, and 37 on the ES, that was the high of the day. Today I took 2 minutes and 2 trades, get to $1,150, and we took 44 trades in total with 5 stop outs, so 88% of our trades were break even or better. On the month now, we're at 33.92. Over 3 days, averaging 1,130. We got to get that number of 1,200, probably by the end of the week. On the year now, we're at 1,222. The 24/20, we worked 7.1 hours so far, averaging $2,688 an hour. That's all getting the bull. Get into more of that some other time. I'm not going to go through the individual trades. I'm just going to get in there and trade right now because we have some time. And then, you know, when the president does start speaking, I think the market is going to go a little bit crazy. So we'll just do what we can right now. All right. You see things are starting to move down just a little bit here. Now, I had my money on the SPY going down between today and tomorrow, dropping significantly. So where that is right now, okay, this is where it is right now. And this is not on a daily chart. Let's put that on a daily chart. Okay, the SPY. So far the SPY is still green on the day. I'm thinking by the end of tomorrow, I'm hoping it's going to be down here. But of course, that doesn't bode well for everything else in the markets. But we just trade what's in front of us. We don't care whether it's going up or down. All right, made out the question box in case anybody has a question. I don't usually have questions at this point. We'll say we're starting trading right now. It's 103. And just see what happens. We did have a good morning though. It got really range bound the last hour of the morning session. And I was thinking, we were thinking that when the European markets closed, it might start to drop, that they were holding things up, literally holding things up. But it hasn't had that significant move yet. So let's just get ready for whatever we have coming here. And so far, the dawns are not indicating there's anything significant happening yet. There's just a little spread there on the NQ. We still got liquidity. There's no spread on the ES, a little spread on the YM, and just a 1-tick spread on the Russell. We have liquidity everywhere right now. So we can trade pretty much normally. The ES needs a down close. The YM needs a down close right now. Those are the 2 trades we have setting up. This down close and this down close here. And here's still the same thing on both of those right now. Just need the down closes on both of those markets. Will be a trade. The ES looks like it's going to happen first, but I don't know. There it is. There's the ES. Here's the ES. Okay. The YM would be the next one now. If that closes down, it's going to fill us and we'll be in that trade. The NQ did not pull back to hit the mid band, so it does not have a trade here. Though it could have a trade It does not right now. We're at break even now on the ES. I'm just gonna lock in one tick on that. And we're in the YM right now too. Right, the NQ and the Russell both came out of the overbought, so they have a lot of work to do now. On the ES, I'm gonna go to 2 ticks right now. And the YM, here it is. We're out with 2 on the ES, and the YM has not gone enough to bump the stop to break even yet. So far we have 2 ticks on the YM. I don't know, sorry, 2 ticks on the ES. I'll write that down in a minute here. Let's just babysit this YM. I guess I can leave it that way. The other ones aren't gonna trigger anything here. There we go, we're at +5 on that now. We're +10 on that. I have a feeling we're going to get out with +10, but we'll see. The other markets are starting to tank a little bit right here, so it could really move down. We have a 45 tick profit target on that. So this could be one of those things that happens really quick. It just gives me all 45 ticks right away, or it gives me 10. So probably get some slippage. Move that out to 55. Because this could be one of those things that just tanks right here. $30. And we're out with 30 on the YM. Okay, so let's go put that stuff in. Here we are. Today we had so far 2 on the ES and 30 on the YM. Okay, this is the 75th day. And it is 4-6. And that 2, 0. And right now this is going to be a 27. Okay. And this becomes a 75. All right, that's where we are right now, $1,750. Let's get back in there. See, that was the trade we took there. That was the trade we took there. So now the ES is setting up again. The NQ. The NQ is just about set up. The ES is set up. The Russell's not, and the YM is not. So the ES is the NQ. Okay, now the NQ is too far away. I'm going to cancel that order. The ES is almost too far away. Oh, the ES is too far away too. Let me cancel that order too. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah. Nothing. All right, well, I don't know, guys. There's not a lot going on right here. We did take those couple of trades that worked out well, but there's nothing else setting up right now. Getting little gaps here and there, and we're starting to get the spread in the DOM now. You see that? The liquidity is drying up. So I don't know how much more trading we're going to be able to get. That's kind of why I wanted to start it out the way that we did. So now I could go back. I could go back and go through the trades we did take and all that stuff right now. Okay. Give it another minute here. This might be fun to do it. Is Trump speaking yet? Anybody? I mean, it might be fun to trade. The ES anyway. It's the only one that doesn't have a gap right now. Or a spread. And the SPY is still positive right now. So no more trades. All right. Seems the market sentiment is pretty bearish right here. You guys aren't telling me. Has he even started speaking yet? Just started. Thanks, Joe. Watch it on the big picture over here. The SPY. We don't have any trades here on all four of those markets. SPY just went red. We almost have a trade on the ES. We almost have a trade on the NQ. The ES is closer right now. The ES needs a down close. It's right here. There it is. We're short the ES. Here it is. Just give me a break even. At least I think it was a break even. Just make this the SPY. So I don't have to go out that many. The SPYs I'm really interested in. Just go to 5. Easier to trade. Got money on the SPY. All right. Nothing there. Nothing here. Nothing here. Nothing here. We almost have trades here on these two. They both need up closes followed by down closes. I think it down closes first, and that's going to mess it up. Okay, well, the up close didn't work on that one. And thought Dwayne was going to narrate for me. Need a down close here on the yes. Down close on the yes to be a short. The NQ is not going to turn into a trade. It needs an up close that's going to pull it too far away. All right, the ES is now too far away too. Nothing. We flipped to IVR there. So we could have a long here on the ES now. It's got to hit the mid band. It hasn't hit it yet.
I guess you figured out Trump is speaking.
Yes.
Thank you, Joan. Okay.
All right, so that's not a trade. That's not a trade. This is not a trade now on the ES. It's too far away. So the ES needs to flip the YBR back down since the other one's never flipped up.
So are we just about back to the low of the session?
We're about at the, well, on the SPY anyway, we're about at the open. So we're probably about the same way on the ES.
Okay.
And go to the ES on the daily. No, we're not even close. Actually, the ES isn't.
Okay. So the ES is holding up pretty good. Yeah.
Yep, the ES is still up quite a bit from the open.
Yeah.
All right, a down close here on the NQ. Speaking up and down here. Down close on the NQ would be a short right now. So far, we've had two trades, one 30 tick YM trade and one 2 tick ES trade. So
nice.
Far. Yes. And if this closes up, I think it's going to be too far away from the mid band. It could still happen though. It could still have a down close here that works. Yeah, just barely by 1 point. There it is. There it is. All right, and that just bumped me to +10 and took me right out. I'm out already. Let me just go check that and see what it did actually give me. So fast.
Well, that's not nothing.
It was actually 8 ticks to give me. This is what it gave me. There. Read from the bottom up. Okay, so 8 more. And this turned into nothing. This is nothing. And this was nothing. So I put those 8 more.
The NQ could deliver another short here fairly quickly.
Yeah,
perhaps.
Yeah, it could. Let's get back in here. Here we are.
It's going to take 2 up closes at this point. Yeah.
Yeah, the market's not really reacting to whatever he's saying right now. It is the spread in everything but the ES right now.
Well, he's still talking. I don't know if he's answering questions yet. So.
Okay. The down close here on the ES would be a short.
Yes, it would.
I'm sorry. Scratch that. Background goes green. The background goes green. It's. I'm looking at the price action. I'm not looking at the background color. There's a 50% retracement. We're in the overbought. There's a 50% retracement. The leg down. Right. But it's not a trade.
Not a trade.
Right here on the NQ though. The NQ would be a trade on a down close right now. That is correct. Yes, was not that. I'm glad I caught myself on that. All right, now
we're going to flip the NQ.
Yep, it's going to flip the YBR up, and nothing else seems to be agreeing with it at this point.
Well, so far, nothing he said has upset the markets.
Oh, that's boring.
Yeah. I mean, he can talk for an hour and, then take questions. So.
Or he could wait till the very end and then just drop the bomb at the very end.
Right. Yeah.
Just ramble for an hour.
Well, I'm going to mute you for a few minutes and listen to him for a few minutes.
Okay. All right. Well, there's only 7.5 minutes left. So, be all right. All right, so far the market seems to be liking it, not hating it. Just looking at the SPY, the overall market. And, well, we benefited from it so far. A little bit. I guess I'm benefiting more from this than I'm not from the SPY. Puts going the wrong way. But the day's not over. And your puts are good till Wednesday. You see, he could say one thing and then have the military do another. That's new. Yeah, oh yeah. I'm just sitting quietly watching, waiting.
Yeah, he's still just telling the story of everything that happened over the weekend. He's not fielding questions yet. That's probably when the volatility will come in.
All right, well, he's got about 3 minutes left. And I'm thankful that it hasn't really created too much havoc right now. on my charts anyway. There's no spread on the ES. It's just a couple of ticks on the NQ. So liquidity, pretty good liquidity everywhere. So I'm thankful. My glass is half full. My glass is always half full.
I have a paper cup.
You filled up to the top, but it's not gonna last forever. Okay, there is a stranger walking to my house right now. I imagine it's gonna be a nurse or a PT person. Big giant truck though. All right, this was not a trade here. This was not a trade here. We're about to flip the YBR here on the YM. We just did on the Russell, and we now have about 2 minutes left. So we'll see if we get a long trade out of this.
When price action touches that yellow line, it changes the background color on the close of the candle that touches the yellow line.
Yep,
For anybody in the audience that doesn't know.
It doesn't matter what direction it closes. It could touch it. You know, you could touch this one right here and close down, and it's still going to flip it. It's just going to touch it. It's a touch that changes the direction.
And if you're in the audience and you have any questions, nobody sees what you type. Well, on YouTube, it's visible to everybody, but on our platform, nobody sees what you type but Michael and I. So don't ever hesitate to ask a question. We're not here to judge you. We're here to try to help you, teach you,
Jump
whatever.
right in.
You know, just
Jump right in.
go, I don't understand what the heck you're doing. Well, we'll try to explain it. I was getting ready to flip.
It is. There it is. It's flipping. And we're just about out of time, aren't we? Just about 1 minute left. We might get an ES trade here. It's really
okay.
close.
You had a good session.
We did. We had 27 minutes of trading, which is a lot more than we normally get.
Right.
And we only got 3 trades, but still, it was 27 minutes of trading. And I can't see it. There it is. All right, that's going to be it. So in this session, we ended up having 3 trades, made 2 ticks on the ES, 30 ticks on the YM, and 8 ticks on the NQ, putting us at $2,150 with 10 contracts on, or $215 with 1. That's double the goal for the day. So this is 75, that's 75. So so far in all these sessions, the 75 sessions that we've kept track of, we're averaging $129 per contract per session. And the sessions trading part of it anyway lasts an average of 16 minutes. So it's good stuff. If you're not here, if you can't get into the morning session, but you can't get into the afternoon session, there's usually a couple of good trades in the afternoon session. I don't know how many trades we actually average in the afternoon session. Should probably check that out sometime. Looks like we probably average 4 trades every session. Anyway, if you've not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com, click on the purple button. There's no credit card required for the trial. Click that purple button. It's going to bring you to the registration page. Just fill it out. Okay? Do that. Get your indicators indicating on your desktop. It's just about to trade here on the ES right now. Get your indicators indicating on your desktop and follow along with us in the trial. That is it. With that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready in the S-Digister.
Yep, I'm ready. Okie doke. Recap of the morning session.
Today it took 2 minutes and 2 trades to get to $1,150.
Good job.
Thank you.
All right, guys. I covered every market in granular detail. I even told you how to become a member. We even did the good word for the day. So my work here is done. If you missed any part of today's broadcast, feel free 10 minutes after I sign off, go to youtube.com/CFRN. That's the Christian Financial Radio Network since 2005. There's now over 3,000 daily broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. And honestly, I mean, you're never going to watch them all, nor do you need to, but it's a great way to get to know who we really are. Because thanks to the power of YouTube, you can scroll back 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, 6 years, a lot more. And again, while you're never going to watch them all, it does allow you to see how we've evolved over all these years, day by day by day. youtube.com/CFRN. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.